Hello again, it's Jameson Palmer, and in this video, we're gonna answer the question, is UFUN a pyramid or a Ponzi scheme? I know this has been a big question on a lot of people's minds, and so we're gonna dig into this, and I'm gonna show you in this presentation why UFUN, the U token, does not meet the definition of a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme. And anyone that says that UFUN is a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme obviously doesn't understand the UFUN model. So the first thing we want to do is look at the definitions of a Ponzi scheme and a pyramid scheme. So first of all, a Ponzi scheme is a form of fraud in which belief in the success of a non-existent enterprise is fostered by the payment of quick returns to the first investors from the money invested by later investors. So essentially, a Ponzi scheme is a quote unquote fraudulent investment where the first investors are getting paid by the investors that come later. And so that is the gist of what a Ponzi scheme is. Now, a pyramid scheme is very similar. It's pretty much the same idea. And so the definition of a pyramid scheme, we have a form of investment in which each paying participant recruits two further participants, with returns being given to the early participants using money contributed by the later ones. And so, in other words, the same concept where the people that come in first are being paid by the people that come in afterwards. So, to make this real simple, the question becomes, does the UFUN UToken model rely on new people coming in to pay the people that got in first? Because if it doesn't, then it's clearly not a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme, right? So I'm going to show you why the UFUN UToken model does not rely on new people coming in, and why that anyone that believes that it is a Ponzi or pyramid scheme obviously doesn't understand how the model works. Now, what you need to understand is that UFUN is not an MLM or network marketing company. They are simply using a social compensation plan as a form of advertising and a fair way of compensating people that help spread the word and help penetrate the market with the U token. So rather than using traditional media, UFUN is using a social compensation model as a more effective way of penetrating the market. And so we'll talk more about that in a moment. Now, to establish why the UFUN UToken is not a Ponzi or a pyramid scheme, let's go ahead and revisit the digital currency model itself, because this is very important to understand. So as we've talked about before, the U token is the first digital currency with a real reserve system. And the U token is simply a digital currency unit. Now, unlike the rest of the digital currencies out there that aren't backed by anything, again, the U token is backed by the U token reserve, which is a real reserve that meets Basel international banking requirements. It's backed by grade A insurance. And so from our perspective, it's really the first legitimate digital currency, because it's a digital currency that doesn't rely on supply and demand. The value of the U token is dictated by the value of the U token reserve. So again, from our perspective, the U token digital currency is the first legitimate digital currency, because the U token is a representation of the value established by the U token reserve. Now, the reason that U token is so attractive as a digital currency is because historically the value of the U token consistently increases. So unlike Bitcoin, Litecoin, all the other digital currencies out there where the value is fluctuating based on supply and demand, the U token has consistently been increasing in value. And again, the reason for that is because the U token reserve is consistently increasing in value. So what we've been doing is marketing the U token as a currency, as an asset that is consistently increasing in value. Because people that have money are looking for assets that they can purchase that are likely to increase in value substantially on into the future. Because if you can buy U tokens right now at 20 cents and the value of the U token is going to go to $1, then obviously that can be quite profitable, right? Now, understand clearly, the reason that we're purchasing U token is because it's a digital currency that has historically been increasing in value, and we believe that this digital currency is going to continue to increase in value on into the future. The company is not promising any specific returns or any specific percentages because there is no way to accurately predict something like that. And anytime you see a company promising a specific type of return or percentage or anything like that, then it can definitely be a red flag that you may be looking at a Ponzi scheme. And we do not see anything like that from UFUN. If you ever do see something like that, then obviously it's a website that is not owned by UFUN. It would be someone making claims on their own that they shouldn't be making. Like I said, the company does not make any specific promises. So that being said, let's tackle the question, does the U token digital currency rely on new people coming in order to increase in value? Because again, if the U token doesn't rely on new people coming in order to increase in value, then at least as a digital currency, it doesn't meet the definition of a Ponzi or a pyramid scheme, right? So how does the U token increase in value? From my perspective, this is where the model really begins to shine. And so first of all, there's no denying the fact that the more people that use the U token, the more people that purchase the U token, that helps to increase the value of the currency. That's just supply and demand. The more people using the currency, the more demand for the currency, obviously that's going to impact the value of the currency. So there's no denying that fact. When people purchase U token, there's money that goes into the reserve. The value of the reserve increases, which increases the value of the U token. However, the question is, does the U token rely on new people getting involved in order to increase the value of the currency? And again, this is where we get into the true brilliance of the model. Like we said, the value of the U token is dictated by the value of the U token reserve. The U token reserve is what backs the U token and establishes the value. Well, the U token reserve, rather than just being backed by gold or precious metals, where the value fluctuates, UFUN has innovated the reserve model. And what they've done is they've backed the reserve with profit generating assets. We're talking about projects worth hundreds of millions and even many billions of dollars that generate profits that flow into the reserve, therefore increasing the value of the reserve while at the same time increasing the value of the U token. So again, rather than having a reserve system that's just backed by gold or precious metals where the value is going to fluctuate, UFUN has created the U token reserve backed by profit generating assets, massive projects. As an example, the marble mining project has an estimated profit value of over $22 billion. And that was before the fact that they discovered that half of the mountain of marble is actually jade, which increases the value even further. And so this is a profit generating asset where profits are going to flow to the company and into the reserve on into the future, which is going to increase the value of the U token. And that's just one example. We've got the Gateway Clang project, which is a massive mega mall, hotel, and business complex. This project is worth about $500 million. UFUN is part owner of this project. It's in a prime location in Malaysia. And again, what's going to happen is profits are going to flow from the Gateway Clang project into the reserve, increasing the value of the reserve and increasing the value of the UToken. So again, this is just another example. I could go on and on. UFUN also owns Unispace, which is a media company that's about to go IPO. There are other multi-billion-dollar projects on the table. These projects are owned by UToken Reserve. We've got the reserve backed by profit-generating assets to increase the value of the reserve. So let's circle around again and answer the question, does the increase in value of the UToken rely on new people purchasing the UToken? Obviously it does not. Even if UFUN was to close the doors and not allow any new people to purchase UToken, we've got the profit generating assets as part of the reserve that are backing the UToken that are going to continue to increase the value of the reserve, so the value of the UToken can continue to go up without any new people purchasing UToken. So obviously UFUN as a company and the UToken as a currency do not rely on new people getting involved in order to be sustainable and to generate profit. Now again, UFUN is not an MLM or network marketing company. However, let's take a moment and contrast this with most network marketing companies. The fact of the matter is that most network marketing companies rely on new people getting involved in order to be sustainable, because the truth is most network marketing companies would die if they didn't have new members coming in. And that's why so many of these companies come and go. And so there's a lot of risk with most network marketing companies. However, like I said, UFUN is not a network marketing company. And as you can clearly see, UFUN does not rely on new people coming in because the company has profit generating assets that will continue to generate profit on into the future. And so that's one of the reasons that we see this as a revolutionary concept, because the company does not rely on members or UToken holders to generate a profit and to be sustainable. The primary source of profit for the company is being involved in highly lucrative projects worth hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars. Again, what a breakthrough concept. What a brilliant model for a company. And so again, anyone that thinks that UFUN relies on new people coming in order to generate a profit obviously doesn't understand the business model. And when you understand the business model, it is clearly not a Ponzi or a pyramid scheme. And you may be thinking, well, what about the compensation plan? And so let's talk about that for a moment. What UFUN is doing is they're using a social compensation model. And this is the same type of compensation model that a lot of network marketing companies use. What I want you to understand is just because the company is using a social compensation model, and we'll talk more about what that is in a moment, just because they're using this model doesn't mean that it's a network marketing company. A lot of people think that any company that's compensating people using a social compensation model has to be a network marketing company, and that's a very narrow way of thinking about things. We believe that the social compensation model is really the model of the future, and it makes so much sense for UFUN to use this type of model to penetrate the market for the UToken digital currency. And it's very easy to understand why. First of all, let's quickly talk about what a social compensation model is, because it's really the most effective advertising and distribution strategy of our time. So think about it like this. UFUN could do traditional advertising and spread the word about the UToken through your more traditional advertising methods and pay for the media to accomplish that. However, we are in the social internet age, and the fastest way to spread the word about something is by harnessing the power of the people. That's how companies like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all these companies became giants pretty much overnight, is by people sharing with people. It makes sense, right? And there's a chance if you're listening to this that you helped build some of these companies. Maybe you shared Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn with some of your friends. And essentially, you helped these companies to advertise, to spread the word. And you weren't compensated for that. And at the same time, there's real value to that. And the more you're able to spread the word about a company, the more awareness that you're able to initiate through your efforts, the more value that you're bringing to the table. And so a company can spend a lot of money on traditional advertising, or they can harness the social distribution model, people sharing with people, which is proven to be a lot more effective. And then think about this. If through your efforts, you're able to create awareness and help build a company and bring that kind of value to the table, then you deserve to be compensated for that, right? Well, the social compensation model is simply a fair way of compensating people that have influence, that are able to create awareness through their actions. And the more awareness that someone's able to create, the more value and the more that person deserves to be compensated. It makes sense, right? And so again, a company can create awareness through paid advertising, through traditional media, which can be very expensive and may not be very effective. Or they can use a social compensation model, which looks similar to a network marketing type model, which over time has been developed as a fair way of compensating people that are able to create awareness and ultimately helping to build the company. Because again, there is real value to that, and people deserve to be compensated for that. Because again, it just makes sense. It's only fair that people that have influence, that people that are able to help create awareness and build a company, obviously they're bringing value to the company and they should be compensated for that. And so again, the social compensation model is simply a fair way of compensating people for helping to create awareness and bringing this type of value to the company. So rather than wasting money on advertising, why not use that money for actual measurable results? Now, something else to understand is that this social compensation model is only going to be available with UFUN and the UToken for a limited time. They're talking about having this in place for the next 1.5 to 2 years. Because again, they're using this as an advertising strategy. They're using this as a way to penetrate the market. And with something like digital currency, it just makes sense. The most effective way to penetrate the market would be from person to person. But like I said, UFUN is not a network marketing company. They don't have to have a social compensation model to be sustainable on into the future. They're not relying on people bringing other people into this. This is a temporary thing to get well entrenched in the market. And then ultimately, they're planning on taking this IPO. There will be enough awareness in the market, and the social compensation structure just won't be necessary. Now, on another note, when it comes to network marketing companies, which UFUN is not a network marketing company, but when it comes to network marketing companies, there tends to be a problem with not enough retail customers and too many distributors. Now, what you need to understand is that a high percentage of the people that are getting involved with UToken are simply buying the UToken as an asset, as a currency, and are not participating in the distribution side of things. So before anyone tries to use that argument, that doesn't apply in this case either. Becoming a distributor and promoting UToken is completely optional. And like I said, there's a high percentage of people that are simply buying UToken as a currency. So getting back to the original question, is the UFUN UToken a Ponzi or a pyramid scheme? Well, again, by the definition of both a Ponzi and a pyramid scheme, it relies on new people coming in to compensate the people that came in first. And the reason that these have been outlawed is because they're just not sustainable. And hopefully from this presentation, you can see that UFUN, the UToken, does not rely on new people coming in. And UFUN as a company is completely sustainable. Most of the profits are coming from profit generating ventures. And so clearly, this is not a Ponzi or pyramid scheme. I believe that we're staring at a model that's revolutionary for digital currency, and the company should be praised for this innovation. What a brilliant business concept. And I believe that any country, any government that tries to stand in the way of this either doesn't understand it, fears it, or there's some other type of agenda. Because this is a sound business model. And anyone that says differently, I'd have to question their business acumen. Again, either they don't understand it or there's some type of agenda. And there's no doubt there are definitely people out there right now with an agenda. That said, there are in the neighborhood of about 400,000 UToken account holders throughout the world. Powerful, wealthy business leaders and entrepreneurs that see the vision, that are supporting and backing this company. There are other major projects on the table that will soon be announced by the company. So pretty amazing stuff. Hopefully this gives you a better idea of why I'm in support of UFUN and the UToken. We plan on acquiring as many UTokens as we possibly can. My hat's off to Dato Daniel Tay and the other visionaries behind UFUN. And there's a lot more on the way, so definitely stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. Jameson Palmer signing off. Many blessings, and bye for now.